Hi, hello, and welcome to Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, also known as the Blosi Baba. I'll be your oracle today. And I was sent by the temple to deliberate my findings for the Revolving Door series. This is a special edition. It'll also include the commentary, and I will also impose some guidance for the karmic, resolving, dissipating connections in the soulmate, twin flame kind of union. We're going to be getting some messages from Venus, Sukra, also known as Oshun and Chamba, and Bude, also known as Guru or Legba. This will include a little bit of commentary for the Mercury retrograde shadow period. Mercury stationed direct on the 9th and started heading, stationed direct and started heading positively back through Pisces on the 9th. That's an auspicious time because it was also kind of conjunct, especially in the same sign, aspecting the moon. It was in a opposition. It was in a aspect to the moon, which was full at the time. So the full moon talks more about karmic releasing. It's a culmination of a cycle. The cycle for Pisces/Virgo has to deal with discernment of the imperceivable, discernment of the celestial fear, okay? So things that are going on behind the scenes, things that are going on in other realms, things that are going on privately, whether it's bed pleasures, whether it's eyes on you, behind your head, whether it's ancestrally. That's what Pisces has to deal with. And the moon was in Virgo. So there would have been a culmination, some type of completion around discernment, around where you had to apply discernment skills, some type of karmic duty to the connection itself. Now, with the moon, it's normally an internal thing. And Bude, also known as Mercury, also known as Legba, it rules the celestial thought sphere. So basically, what you're thinking is what's manifesting, okay? And Mercury is also exalted in Virgo, okay? Now, I don't know the degrees. I don't know if it was an exact exaltation or anything of that, if it was auspicious or what the strength of it was. And we all have different signs, especially for our rising sign in our North Node. So this is going to be premium content coming to you for free. If anything that is said resonates deeply with you, check the show notes or email oracle@priestessgorgeous.org. There is a flash sale going on, and it's a rare one. You're not going to get this kind of deal again for the rest of the year. I'm going to go ahead and begin. I'll be imposing the guidance from the Alana Fairchild Rumi Oracle. Why don't we go ahead and do that now? Okay, we got it. Enter the Garden of Delights. And the moon was full in Pisces. Mercury is also stationed direct, going back into Pisces. That we're going to be in the shadow period for the next couple of weeks. So that's perfect for the revolving door aspect, because it talks about the shadow, it talks about cleansing karma, expediation, purification, release. Oftentimes there might be a catalyst that you really can't grow into manifestation. So if you're in a union that has a little bit of soulmate, has a little bit of twin flame energy, and it's not going anywhere, it seems like a lot out of your control, you really need to release, because soulmate relationships are for alignment into your soul power, into your higher self. And the whole twin flame soulmate, yeah, okay, they do exist, but you're trying to anchor a 5-dimensional energy into the 3rd dimension. So there's a lot of things that need to be let go of. And oftentimes as humans, we have our attachments to desire, kama is what it is, longing for some type of union that really there's a lot of things that need to be released from the lower vibrations in order to achieve. So we're gonna get in here. It might be a little bit deep. I'm gonna shuffle firstly Mercury into the deck, and then secondly, I will shuffle Venus into the deck. So it'll be 2 rounds. Again, this is premium content. I'm gonna go ahead and impose the guidance now since this is a special edition. This is rare and atypical. In the future, when the freemium and premium content come out, what'll happen is you'll see the guidance, and then the findings will be premium. You can go to another channel and we'll go from there. So we have here card number 28, Into the Garden of Delights. And this is from Alana Fairchild's Rumi Oracle on page 127. Are you aware that sweetness is found everywhere in town? Are you aware that winter is gone and spring has come around? Are you aware that sweet basil and the carnation are whispering in the garden and laughing about how simply everything is found? Are you aware the nightingale has come back from its flight, singing out messages of love to spread delight with every sound? Everything in the garden is granted the right from the divine court to appear for our delight. Everything is here to make the earth green and alive as a heaven for our life. What remains buried in the soil will always endeavor to reach out. Not only truly alive, no one truly alive can ever be pawned to a prison or a tomb. There's a sweet spot when entering the Garden of Delights. A moment where the senses have gorged themselves upon the beauty and become heavy with their fullness, slowing the mind so that it can perceive the divine beloved dancing behind the veils of nature. But first comes the sensual feasting. Blooming orchids arrest the glaze, orchids arrest the glaze with their startling and strange beauty. Nectar from the ripest fruits of the garden drips luscious and sweet upon a savoring tongue, hungry for gossip. The ears shamelessly eavesdrop upon the birds in melodic conversation. They sing of greatest, most passionate love and boundless living joy. The ears open wide to take it all in. The craving for touch is sated by rough textured bark falling upon the ancient trees, soft dewy grasses cool in the shade, the crunching leaves making their sounds under the hot sun and dancing feet, and the caress of the sunlight upon bare shoulders with weight of its own like a silken wrapped place just so by a caressing lover's hand. The breeze, the very breath of the beloved earth mother, is sweet with scent of lavender and jasmine, warmed by the sun father. Oh, drink it in until your arms raise themselves to heaven. Your head tilts, eyes rolling back in your head, and your sacred animal body is mindless and in love. The Garden of Delights, narcotic in effect, lulling the senses from tension into sacred languor. That love may be experienced, let us hear in the midst of so much life, where the goodness of life is felt and the heart is free from any prison of pain or doubt. Come, be in the garden with me now. Let us be free and feast to our heart's content. So I'll read the excerpt when I continue later on. Remember that the guidance already is Enter the Garden of Delight. So that's a number 28. So 2 is the number of duality, Maya, illusion. It's the impermanence of the soul's incarnation. And then 8 has to deal with Ashta. So Ashta versus 2, Dvi, is about the celestial sphere, stars, galaxies, and bodies imposing upon our duality, our conscious experience. Now, there's a lot of partnership in the number 2, and there's a lot of totality in the number 8. Not absolute totality like 9. 8 is more grandmother. So the relationship of the consciousness, the relationship of the experience, the relationship of the karma, the relationship between the karma. So we have a collective karma, we have a shared karma. 2 + 8 = 10. 10 is when spirit completely incarnates and it has this type of enshrinement. So all that is, it's basically God with a form. So God is taking on a form here by the relationship of each of the people in the connection's karma. It's funny that we have the Garden of Delights and then we have, you know, not the Garden of Eden, but this is the garden in delusion. So I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle Mercury into the deck here. Oh, came right out. I'm hearing that Madonna song, "You May Be My Lucky Star, but I'm the luckiest by far." You may be my lucky star, 'cause you shine on me wherever you are. Okay, so let's see here. So we have the record open. And the thing is, I was trying to shuffle in Mercury for the Mercury retrograde, and actually I was confused. So when I'm under an impression and then later on the truth is revealed, it's a double message. It's just a quick tangent for those in the mystery school, for those of you who are students of the mysteries, whether it's with myself or others. You know, getting it right, being perfect, unless you're doing like a very specific type of ritual, it doesn't matter. It's the journey and the intention that's far greater and far more powerful than the actual specifics. If you're getting fearful because something didn't go right, or you're caught up in getting it right, that can limit your results. So I was under the impression that I was shuffling in Mercury, and it actually turns out it was the Fool. So Mercury, the Magician card, that is Mercury conjunct the Sun. The Fool card is Mercury conjunct the Sun aspecting Uranus, or Uranus conjunct the Sun aspecting Mercury. It's also the energy of like 29 degrees going into 0 degrees Aries. So this is about an illusion, a delusion, a mystery. And it would be a new mystery, a new illusion. And we're starting out here in the place of foundation structures. So there's been something being built. And unless there was wise, unless there was a sacred woman, unless the person was truly the divine feminine, it would have been built on illusion, delusion. And with this, it's saying that it was time for the masculine to structure. So by the way, this is the feminine month since the full moon was in Virgo. And the sun is in Pisces. So we have Virgo looking right here at the start of this journey. And it's almost like hindsight is 20/20. That's what the Virgo moon is telling me. Hindsight's 20/20. We can see the whole path. We can see the whole aspect. We can look back on the totality of the connection, the totality of the union. And this is a person who's learning their skills, learning their talents, learning their abilities. Maybe finally they know what they want because they've experienced a lot of what they don't want. And there's multiple moving parts here, not of the union. It really more of like okay, first this had to happen or this wouldn't have happened. First, next this had to happen or this wouldn't happen. So if I had never XYZ, I would have never ABC. If I never dated that person, and I would have never found my personal power. If I hadn't been so broken or needing of healing or wounded when XYZ happened, this ABC wouldn't have happened. This is a person who there's a change, a transition in destiny, probably leading, probably taking their role as the masculine, probably taking their role to build this foundation. And it's interesting how we have one card in between the divine masculine and divine feminine here in the physical. And then we have two cards in between the divine masculine and the divine feminine in the spiritual. And then in the heavenly realm, the Lover's card is between the divine masculine and the divine feminine in like the heavens. And then for me in my house, I use the Lover's card to represent the heavenly body. So there's a lot of confirmations here. So it feels to me like feminine, like the masculine is, since it's a feminine month, the full moon was in feminine, we're going to give the medicine, give the guidance to the divine feminine. We'll be talking mostly about the divine masculine, like we did last month and like we will next month. So every other month we talk directly to the divine feminine, giving a commentary about the divine masculine. Next month, we'll be talking directly to the divine masculine, giving commentary about the divine feminine. You can listen either way, but you'll hear me talk, addressing directly the divine feminine, talking about the divine masculine. Now, the masculine energy usually is pushing out, and it will be up here. The feminine energy usually is being received, going inwards, and it'll be down here, okay? Now also, closer to the camera is more the divine feminine, further away from the camera is more the divine masculine. Okay, so for me, they're both actually growing, finishing the cycle. One person's having an awakening, and that's the divine feminine. Another person is having, well, one person's having an aha moment. That's the divine feminine. The other person's having the completion of an awakening and finding higher insight from a spiritual perspective, and that would be the divine masculine. The divine masculine is finally coming into themselves, coming into their skills. They know who they are and what's alive in them. And honestly, they're going to be saved by faith. So for those of you that are taking on a spiritual path, a spiritual practice, especially the masculine, for those who understand that the masculine wants to help them in their spiritual path or becoming conscious, becoming woke, that's a positive sign. But the change to make in order to be most abundant is to leave the karma here. So there needs to be some breaking out of hell, breaking out of prison, and there will need to be some external force that comes in and brings this cycle to completion. So for most of you, there would have needed to be a break. There would have needed to be at least a breakdown. So let's follow the journey here. Like I said, we start out with the divine masculine, learning who they are, what's alive in them. Then they make changes or they accept changes. So it could have been that there was a lot of changes available, a lot of opportunities for change, and the masculine, this dishonored, diluted, distorted, disowned, distracted, destroyed, demeaned, diminished, whatever these external opportunities coming towards. They weren't rising to the occasion, accepting the other person as their counterpart, accepting the other person as their spiritual union, taking the opportunity, taking a stand, all that kind of information. It would have been being in the dark about love, falling out of love, waiting in love, postponements to love. It would have seemed like that. Now, this opportunities, if the only thing now is judgment, salvation, being saved by faith, and this faith has to deal with spiritual laws. Okay, if it's not a flow, it's not a go, you have to walk out of the union, even if this is your twin, even if this is your soulmate. If it's not going together, then it's growing apart. You need to honor that. Sitting in the union, trying to make something that isn't happening, getting up from the table when love's no longer being served is the only option. So when you go into that alignment, what happens is then there's a resolution. We have the Hierophant in the justice house, la justicia, which means spiritual laws. Beliefs, practice, traditions comes to alignment, karmic resolutions. This la justicia, the justice card, comes to the judgment house, il justicia. La justicia comes to the house of il justicio. So that's aha moments, a balanced, karmically aligned resolution comes to higher minded judgments, long-term judgments, aha moments, judgments that affect you on a soul level throughout your whole karmic existence. And it means for here, when the justice card comes to the judgment house, it means a resolution. And finally, this is the card of resolutions. And for me in this deck, the justice card typically represents how's your godly relationship, how's your relationship with your spirit, with your soul, with your God. If you're in alignment, it'll be towards the right side. If you're not in alignment, it'll be towards the left side. So whatever happened, we broke out of hell and now we have karmic justice. Doesn't always need to be punitive. It can be, and if it is, it's going towards the feminine. But the masculine will still benefit, although it'll be a rude awakening. I'm hearing that song, You May Be My Lucky Star, but I'm the luckiest by far. I think the feminine comes in, tries to give a lot to the masculine, and the masculine doesn't act or receive fast enough. And so the feminine has to leave, has to go away, and has to stop focusing, giving energy to the masculine. All three of those, not one, not 1.5, not 2, not 2.5, all three. Has to give, receive nothing, leave, and stop waiting, hoping, wishing, praying that this is going to come back together. If and only if all three of those things happen, then the universe will give to the masculine awakening perspectives, startling, blinding flashes of the obvious, hello, buddy, upside the head. I'm hearing that Steel Pulse song, Oops, Upside the Head, got me, oops, upside the head. You got me raving for the Holy Ghost Thailand. Yeah, it's a spiritual awakening has to come to the masculine. Period. You got me raving for the Holy Ghost Thailand. Okay, yeah, a spiritual awakening has to come to the masculine. That's the only thing. And what happens is the feminine would have been there giving, basically providing access to the Garden of Eden. She would have been a field, a galaxy to birth whatever vision the masculine had, but the masculine would have been tripping, sitting there waiting, aware of their intentions, aware of what they want, but not going after them, not putting them out to the world, but just, you know, some people can be pleased with the thought and the idea of something. I'm definitely one of those people. The desire, the idea, the awareness of the possibility is much more pleasing than working towards the reality of it. There's a type of detachment, but this detachment doesn't belong in a union. What the masculine needed to do in the past was share their intentions with the feminine. And it wasn't that the feminine needed to help the masculine with them. The feminine needed to say, yes, I'm in alignment with that. Okay, so a little tutorial here. Okay, so the job of the divine feminine is to have self-worth and value. The job of the divine masculine is to have strength, courage, and wisdom. So it's right here. The job of the divine feminine is self-worth and value. The job of the divine masculine is strength, courage, and wisdom. If the feminine does not know who they are, they're not going to be able to provide balance to whatever the divine masculine has going on. If the divine masculine does not know what they want, they're not going to be able to provide support for the divine feminine to balance out. Think of the power of manifestation being vested in the feminine. Their hopes, their wishes, their prayers, their love, their devotion can call upon whatever divine seed that they need, okay? The divine masculine can command that. Think of it this way. The divine feminine is a field of potentiality, infinite potentiality. The divine masculine is the seed. Well, there's all different types of seeds that can be planted in the same field. Some fields have a large bounty, some don't. Some fields are fertile ground, others are barren. I'm not just talking about childbearing. So there's all different types of seeds. And sometimes the soil isn't appropriate for one type of crop and it is for another type of crop. So that's the divine feminine. Does she have fertile soil? Does she know who she is? Not what she wants, who she is. Because the masculine knows what he wants and she's in alignment with that vision, she can support him. And how does the divine feminine support the divine masculine? Not by helping him get what he wants. That's his job. That's their job. Gender, non-binary, two-spirit, etc. The job of the divine feminine is to provide balance, love, devotion, support. The job of the divine masculine is to go out, get, and bring back, to put energy out into the world according to the divine vision. Okay, so here it's saying that saved by faith will bring in spiritual alignment, through spiritual laws will bring in a resolution, and then we'll have an aha moment. So when the feminine is going to come in, give a bunch of love that isn't received or reflected back, she's going to leave because love's no longer being served at the table, or never really was. And her coming to the realization that love was not being served at the table fixes up her little delusion. She goes out to have strength, courage, and wisdom in and of her own self. If she's out of a union, she needs self-worth and value, strength, courage, and wisdom. If she's in a union, she needs self-worth and value, faith, hope, and optimism. It's a lesson for another time. I'm being called to repeat myself. I won't. Okay. So when she leaves, she's going to work on herself. It's a season, but this kind of season is a maturation cycle. So typically it's about 6 months. You plant your seeds and then 6 months later they're growing, kind of deal. If you plant your seeds in March, they start growing. And if you plant your seeds in Aries time, I'm sorry, excuse me, it's 9 months, a pregnancy cycle. If you plant your seeds in well, I'm hearing two different stories. I don't want to confuse everybody. Okay, okay, I'm getting it. Because I'm hearing plant your seeds in harvest time, which is Virgo, which usually you reap. I believe in planting your seeds between Aries, Taurus, between the Aries new moon and the Taurus new moon. That's when you plant your seeds. And between the Virgo, between the Pisces full moon and the Taurus full moon, which is in Scorpio season, you reap, you bring up all. But if you're planting your seeds at the Virgo new moon, that's more priestess work. That's more spiritual work. It's not earthly stuff. That's not a priestess of the marketplace. That's a priestess inside the temple. So there's two unique stories here, because we have those who are the worldly, the goddesses that are enshrined, they're out in the world. They're supposed to be coupled in a union with an actual human. And then there's others who need to be in a union with God first, and then it'll come down into the physical. So I'm hearing several things here. That candle, the wax is getting agitating me. Okay, so what happens is the feminine leaves the union for whatever reason, mostly self-respect. And what happens is suddenly they start getting intuitive messages, awakenings from the masculine. It might not be the masculine showing up, but there will be some kind of message, most likely a psychic message that comes from the masculine. So what this for an Pisces rising, what this Mercury retrograde will do for the twin union will bring you a new start. It's to your own self, though. Pisces rising, you're going to find yourself more alone, but you're going to start your path towards this ideal that you want. For Aries risings, you're going to find yourself with soul's wisdom now, with deep insights about why things weren't working in your union. See, Pisces risings, you're finally going to break free, and Aries risings, whether you're alone or together, you're going to want to be alone because you're going to want to contemplate and process. I don't see it happening for too long. Taurus rising. You're coming into some type of alignment. It feels like publicly, you're gonna, okay, Aries rising, you're gonna need to spend a lot of time alone, and Pisces rising, you're gonna start a new path, a new journey. You have a whole reset button getting hit. Taurus risings, you're finally gonna be in alignment. It's finally gonna be whatever it is that's tolerable and acceptable to you. For you, Taurus rising, you might actually come into healing and union because you're gonna receive blessings all the same. It might just be karmic justice. It might be the actual person gets done whatever they need to get done, especially if there's like a leaving, former spouse leaving, you know, child's baby mama, whatever, what have you. Gemini rising. So Gemini rising, I hate to say, but there's going to be some endings. There may be an end of your reputation. There may be an end of good favor, or you may completely graduate. So whatever it is, you're going to see the end in sight, and it's going to happen in a tangible way, a practical way. You're finally going to be able to strategize the completion. Cancer rising. For you, you're going to begin to understand how to control you and yourself for the future. You're going to get some patience and fortitude over the situation because a calm comes to you. You're not going to have a lot of fear of the unknown anymore. This is because you have insight about how to move on, move forward with when up until now you haven't. You might have been stuck, not able to move, not able to gain much. You might have been in your lower fears, lower ego. Now you're moving out. Leo. You're going to start to put up blockages in this. This is Leo rising, Leo North Node. You're going to start to put up blockages in the union. That's what this Mercury shadow period is going to give you. What to stop giving to. Because of what you want. You might also learn how to communicate what your needs are to get what you want from others. You might have a shared mutual need. You know, you can't always pleasure yourself. You might need coitus intimacy. I'm also understanding that you might move into the connection with the right person, finally, because of needing to give up, give off, give out, have some type of transition. You're going to spiritually attune yourself. Leo. Virgo. Again, you're going to put up some blockages. Things need to be the right way, the right energy, the right vibe. You will have somebody come back, and if they do come back, they're going to want marriage, union, commitment. And what's opposing you may be a blockage of somebody who is committed. You may find out the truth, like this other person you're connected to is married, or they're in some type of commitment where they can't. For you, it might not be about union. It might be that they can't move in with you because they're giving their rent money somewhere else that they can't get out of that place. It may be they can't move in with you because they're tied down to something right now financially. But the reason why an alignment or reason why discernment hasn't been present up until now, that will come out. And also the advice is to figure out what you need to say no to in order to bring this into alignment, because you're giving too much, doing too much, fixing too much. Libra. Libra, I hate to say, you may actually be in a union, but you may be in the dark. So you might not know what you need to do to bring this to fruition. You might not know how to even things out. You might not know what's needed to make this work. You might not know how to bring this in. You might be looking for harmony, some type of resolution in this partnership, in this union, and you might not know what needs to. So Mercury is going to bring you the duty, the service, the obligation that you have on a spiritual karmic level. You need to make some type of karmic choice here. What's needed is the insight. So during the shadow period for you, insight will come to what's missing. What you need to do, the service to give yourself and others. Scorpio, you're going to be able to drive forward. You're going to have a successful ending. You'll know what to give and what not to give, what to do and what not to do because of this retrograde. Because you were out of balance before. There was some type of obsession on commitment. And things are coming to light now. There's a light at the end of the tunnel here, and you're going to be able to see it very clearly soon. Scorpio rising. Okay, Sagittarius. Whatever's going on, you're exactly where you need to be. So if you're a little fanatic about something, okay, make sure that you dissipate, unalign with shadow, make sure that you align with your higher self. You need more feminine energy here, more love, less thinking, more feeling, less talking. Understand that 50% of your thoughts, 50% of your feelings are not yours. Now, let's just hope that 50% is coming from the divine realm versus the lower realm. You don't want to be receiving channels and messages and guidance from lesser, lower vibrational beings. Now, as you give into your delight, just be mindful that it's not egoic. Because Capricorn, you're breaking free from hell here, Capricorn rising. You're breaking out of hell. And external forces have come to you and giving you something to deal with. And you're very skilled at whatever's happening. You're going to be coming into awareness, awakenings that are going to force you to incorporate or accept energies that up until now you haven't been willing to. Aquarius. You finally have innocence and purity here. Peace. Peace and purity. Because all the things in your foundation that you need to set up, they're going to just fall into place in alignment. You're finally receiving messages, guidance, intuition, ideas from the right and about the right path to take. In Pisces, this is a new path for you completely. So let's go ahead and shuffle. So that was the thought. Those of you who were dealing with people coming back. From previous lifetimes or previous times in your life, this lifetime. Now let's deal with anybody that's just in a normal shadow connection. If nobody came back during the retrograde, or maybe you're in something that hasn't broken up, or you're in something that you haven't let go completely of, let's talk about that. So the Mercury retrograde would have affected both of you. The first one, I shuffled Mercury into the deck. This time I shuffled Venus into the deck. This one is going to tell me why you're holding on to something, whether you need to let go or how to heal it. It starts out in moving on, moving forward, arrivals and departures. So it can be that there's a new victory, but it's going to be somewhat unexpected. Not really, but it is new. And it's going to be a successful ending because of some type of graduation, and the graduation is going to come to the masculine. So I feel divine feminine, like most of you are waiting on some divine masculine, because you're a beautifully cultivated beauty. You have beautiful talents. You're spiritually aware. And you're sitting there on your throne waiting for some type of mystery to take effect. Now the masculine has a strong, powerful destiny, but only if they accept their destiny and manifest their destiny will this come through. Because well, for this set, there's a lot of masculines that are holding on, keeping on, holding on because of material things. It can be money. Their money might be funny. They're trying to work that out. That really resonates. It could also be that they're handling money things with the previous connection. It might be that they're waiting for something to manifest. So that could be anything. Something long-term finally comes to the present. Now you're a really warm, sunny, beautiful woman. Great, beautiful personality, very vibrant. That's the divine feminine. And it does bring to you a cultivated beauty, but understand here that there might have been some type of untruth, maybe even lies. I'm not getting that. It was untruths, some type of image. I mean, magician in the moon house, that's lies, deceit, or untruths, illusion, delusion. But the delusion leads to a successful ending and victory. So for you, the divine feminine, go into your less self-worth and value, more beauty, more strength, courage, and wisdom, understanding your beauty. For the Pisces rising, your path will start. And what your path will bring is understanding who you are, what you want, what's alive in you. You'll be able to strike your will upon the universe. Strong intention will give you a new bright path. For the Taurus rising, you're going to have some insight through soul's wisdom, because you have illumination, enlightenment. Because there's been things going on behind the scenes without your knowledge control that you were unaware of. Gemini rising. There's going to be an aha moment, some type of judgment. You'll get some type of blessing. Something might just be communicated to you in terms of an acknowledgement as well. Finally coming into alignment, what you've been wanting and waiting for, not getting, slipping through your fingers. It might finally come, show up, arrive. Cancer rising. There's the beginning of an ending. So you have a new beginning from an ending. That's the transition. Leo rising. It's a transition. So if you were in the dark about a lot, you're finally going to be able to overcome your fears. From a previous. So you might have been connected to somebody, whatever it is. If you have anger, if you have lust, whatever it is, you're going to overcome it. And whatever it is, you've been underneath it on the wrong side. And now there's going to be a transition, maybe even a reversal. Virgo rising. You're overcoming something, definitely the lower self. You're coming out of the shadow, your shadow self. And that's it, that's all. You put a stop to something, Virgo. Libra. You come into your own through alignment. Your values become very clear. So you're making a choice that's practical, in alignment with spiritual principles. And it's a spiritual choice, even if it's about a tangible relationship. And I feel with you, Libra, this choice will have to deal with somebody who was previously in a union, whether they were married, living together, etc. There's a big choice, a commitment. And it can be dissolved. So if nothing manifests, well, no, I'm hearing that something manifests, a commitment manifests. Scorpio. You're going to have a victory because you're finally moving past something. You come into alignment because something gets moved on from, which is difficult for you, Scorpio rising. Sagittarius rising, you're going to be coming into the light. So you're in the dark about a lot. You can't see the horizon. Or what is on top of you, the energy that's preventing you, blocking you, finally that starts to dissipate. There was a spiritual energetic obstacle blockage that finally gets reconciled. It starts to be reconciled. Capricorn. You're going to start to face your shadow. And it would be ambition, fanaticism. Those two words are very strong. Aquarius for you, Aquarius rising for you, it's all about the right time. You're in the right place, the right time. Manifest destiny is what I'm hearing. So regardless, if you're alone, because it seems like you're going to be healing some previous karma, and behind you, you're about to manifest. And so what you want, your intentions are going to purify and cleanse your entire life. Okay, so we went through what I was seeing, I saw the Mercury, what the retrograde did. Now that we're in the shadow period, meaning we're finally out of the retrograde, we're moving into the healing, the incorporation of what we discovered during the retrograde. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about what's the love here? Why are we still in this union if it's not working? Here's the guidance. You have been granted entry into sacred space, a mirab, a sanctuary for worship. When the soul is well acquainted with love, life becomes a temple of love, the sacred space in which the soul can grow powerful through expansive worship of love. You are being invited by your spiritual brother, Rumi, to enter into life, to commit to coming alive. Even if at times this feels deeply challenging, sometimes a part of you may rather stay locked in an illusion of security for a time, perhaps expressed through the preference for what is known over that which is unknown, what is familiar and comfortable compared to that which is unfamiliar or uncomfortable. The tussle with the parts of us that would deny aliveness is a natural part of growth. It can seem so risky, with such potential for heartache, and yet what could be more heart-wrenching than the slow death of precious human soul? Suffocated by fear and inertia. That is the greatest risk of all, of never really and fully being born into the world of wonders. So Rumi is your midwife, there to ensure full spiritual birth. He is standing at the threshold with you now. You are being asked to cross this threshold from the life you have been living into the aliveness that is flickering and growing at your feet. It is love's wild, hot embers at your sacred feet. They will erupt at any moment into a holy inferno, taking hold of you and igniting you from within, transforming you into living fire. To come alive requires shedding of so much adherence to the fear of death. The great brother whispers wisdom into your heart. You have heard it, felt it already. The fear of death is so much more terrible than death itself. Nothing is dying in you but fear, so the heart can live more freely. Death and life are twin angels, dancing together in communion with the sacred. They are not opposed. They bring the soul aliveness and make the garden of delights possible. They bring the seasons of the soul that foster growth and that take the appearance of dying away, which is actually a part of the cycle of life, again and again and again and again. You have been through much death, dear one, around you, within you. You have known this dark angel. That is why you are so full of life. Your attempts to stay as you are have been to render something in your life immobile or impervious to change. These attempts have failed. Let us celebrate. There is no delight in frozen moments long since past. Why try to feast upon such food? It will not nourish you anymore, near as deeply, as fully as fresh from the oven morsels of life. Come, let us taste all that is on offer. We'll drink heedily and sate our deepest thirst. Let us enjoy the richness of the meal in gratitude for its preparation and awe at the skill involved in such masterful creation. Do not let the memory of death starve you of your participation in life. Do not hold on still to that which is past. I will soothe you with a loving touch upon your back, and yet gently I will turn your head to the right and urge you to see the rising sun. Your life is blessed, you see. I want you to know this now. I want you to accept this now. Let these horrors of the past be gone. They are no more than phantoms. The garden is here now, to be touched, to be tasted, to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be inhaled, and to be loved. This oracle comes with a message for you, my dear. A new day is dawning for you. This is a time when the past will very soon cease to have any hold over you. Celebration is imminent. You are invited into the garden of light, of divine plenty. Put your worries behind you now and step into your divine inheritance, where all is sorted according to grace and kindness. Here's the honoring ritual. Say aloud, I accept the gift of golden grace and healing now, to leave behind all prisons and tombs, conscious and unconscious, of heart and of mind. I open up to life and assistance through unconditional love, to being present to that miraculous beauty that seeks to live through me, as me, and in benefit to all humanity. Now, I know myself to be worthy of this grace, to be this grace. So be it. Again, the sacred ritual. To do and perform the sacred ritual, just place your hands over your heart and breathe deep into your chest. Keep your hands remaining rested on your chest. Say out loud, I accept the gift of golden grace and healing now, to leave behind all prisons and tombs, conscious and unconscious, of heart and of mind. I open up to life and assistance through unconditional love, to being present to the miraculous beauty that seeks to live through me, as me, and in benefit to all humanity. Now I know myself to be worthy of this grace, to be this grace. So be it. Keep your hands remain rested upon your chest, breathing into your heart. Let them rest there for however long feels good. When you have finished the ritual. Again, the incantation. I accept the gift of golden grace and healing now, to leave behind all prisons and tombs, conscious and unconscious, of heart and of mind. I open up to life and assistance through unconditional love, in being present to the miraculous beauty that seeks to live through me, as me, and in benefit to all humanity. Now I know myself to be worthy of this grace, to be this grace. So be it. It's been an honor and pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. We are aware here at Virtues of Abundance Galactic Temple of Ascension that you have other viewing options, so thank you for making us one of yours. If anything that was said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and check the link in the show notes. There is a flash sale going on. It's a little bit convoluted, so there'll be a link to the flash sale announcement, which was due out yesterday. Our apologies, my apologies. Again, construction, there was no quiet to record, okay? Anyways, honor and pleasure to serve. Until we meet again, until we read again, namaste, dandavat, and ashe. This week, this sermon, we deliberated the findings from the Rider-Waite. I don't remember both, but I know it's Pamela Coleman-Smith is one of them. And the guidance was imposed by the Rumi Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Please take good care of yourself. Until we meet again, until we read again, namaste, dandavat, and ashe. Bye.